Be honest with yourself for a second. You saw the title. You saw the thumbnail. Something in you wanted an edge. Hit like and subscribe now. This is not entertainment. This is ammunition. Here's the truth. Every woman you meet carries weaknesses she will never admit. Not flaws, but blind spots. These blind spots shape her choices, her tests, her attraction. You have been on the receiving end without knowing. But control does not come from anger or games. It comes from clarity. It comes from learning to see what others refuse to see, then acting without hesitation. Most men give power away because they react. They talk too much. They try to impress. A man who understands female weaknesses holds silence, like a weapon, and chooses his moves with discipline. Do you want to be that man, or keep playing blind? Stay, watch, and prove you can handle the knowledge about to be revealed. Point number 1. Hidden cracks behind desire. Why do you keep chasing what drains you? You see her smile and think it is about you. You never ask what lives underneath. Picture yourself at the gym mirror at 6 a.m. Headphones in, body tired, phone lighting up with a text you know will throw your day off. You stare at your own eyes, not hers. You wonder how you let it get here again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." He meant it in the arena of emperors and soldiers. It applies to you standing alone in a parking lot, holding the same silence your father once held. Men of that time learned to see cracks before they collapsed. They studied their own impulses the way a blacksmith studies heat. Today, the cracks hide in the soft spots you refuse to examine, the ones behind her laughter, her sudden rage, her praise. When you stop looking at the surface and start seeing patterns, the spell breaks. You stop reacting to words and start watching actions. You discover that her pull loses power when you stop feeding it. Stand still long enough to feel the discomfort. Train your silence. Ask yourself, when she pushes next time, will you bend or hold? This is the beginning of seeing through the disguise, of cutting through the noise to what is real. Keep watching. The next truth will show you the test she cannot resist, and how to hold your ground without saying a word. Point number 2. The test she can't resist. Why do you fail the same test over and over? You see it coming, yet you walk right into it. You think it is about her words, it is not. Picture your phone at 2 a.m., screen glowing in a dark room. A message appears, half playful, half cold. You answer, hoping to steady her mood, and she reads your weakness like an open page. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." He spoke to men who faced hunger and battle. You face a different battlefield, but the principle holds. In every age, women test men not for cruelty, but for certainty. In the Roman courts, power shifted in whispers, not swords. Today, it shifts in texts, ultimatums, and silence. She wants to feel the edge of your presence, the boundary that tells her you will not break. If you respond with panic or pleading, the test repeats. If you stand calm, if you let the silence stretch, the test ends. You become the man who chooses, not the man who chases. Hold your ground next time she pushes. Do not explain. Do not justify. Act only when it matters. Train your restraint. Ask yourself, when the next test appears, will you grip your frame or give it away? What comes next will show you how to turn attention itself into power, and why withdrawing it can shift every dynamic in your favor. Point number 3. Attention as a power shift. Why do you hand out your focus like loose change? Every glance, every reply, every scroll, you act as if your attention costs nothing, yet it builds or destroys your position. Picture yourself at a diner after midnight. Half-empty coffee cup. She sits across from you scrolling her phone, waiting for you to chase her mood. Your eyes dart to her screen, then back to yours, trying to read what you will never control. Epictetus wrote, "You become what you give your attention to." He said it in a world of marble courtyards and chained men. It is no less true in a world of push notifications and unread messages. Ancient men measured themselves by how little they reacted to noise. Today, your leverage lives in the same discipline. When you shift your attention from her games to your mission, the frame flips. She feels it. She adjusts. Every moment you stop reacting, you gain ground. Every pause you hold builds weight. You stop chasing approval and start shaping reality. Reclaim your focus. Stop explaining. Stop rewarding what weakens you. Train your focus. Ask yourself, if your attention is the currency of your power, where are you spending it and why? Stay with this. The next section will expose her craving for silent authority and how holding that silence pulls her deeper into your orbit without a single word. Point number 4. Her craving for silent authority. Why do you keep filling the air with words she never asked for? Why do you explain, defend, and justify until your presence feels weightless? You already know she is not listening to what you say. She is listening to what you signal. Picture yourself in a crowded bar on a Friday night. Music pounding. She turns to you with a sharp look, waiting for your reaction. You smile, nod, and say nothing. The noise fades around you, but the tension grows in her eyes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence." He ruled an empire with armies and gold, yet trusted the quiet pause over the loud command. That same principle lives here now. In every age, the man who controls his tone controls the frame. Silent authority is not coldness. It is the power of measured presence. It tells her you will not be provoked. You will not be pulled into noise. When you speak less, each word becomes heavier. When you pause, she feels the gravity of your calm. She craves that center point even if she resists it. Practice it now. Let silence stretch. Do not explain. Do not rush to feel her discomfort. Train your stillness. Ask yourself, when you withhold words, do you feel power or fear? Keep watching. The next section will reveal how emotional control turns that silent authority into movement, shifting the entire dynamic without force or pleading. Point number 5. The pull of emotional control. Why do you keep letting her moods drag you off center? Why do you rise and fall with every tone shift, every silence, every look? You already know it leaves you weak, but you still react. Picture yourself sitting alone in your truck outside a courthouse. Custody papers on the seat. Your phone vibrates again. Another message, another demand. You feel your pulse spike and your hands tighten on the wheel. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." He meant it for men facing exile and chains. You face emotional storms instead of swords, but the lesson holds. Ancient men trained to stand inside chaos without losing form. You must do the same. When you stop matching her highs and lows, she loses her grip on your frame. Her testing slows. Her pull weakens. Control does not mean suppressing everything. It means directing your state like a pilot steering through turbulence. It means pausing before answering. It means speaking only when you choose, not when provoked. Claim that space. Breathe once before reacting. Decide your tone before you open your mouth. Train your composure. Ask yourself, when her storm hits next time, will you stand or sway? Stay with this. The next section will uncover her fear of male indifference and how your steady distance can become a force she cannot ignore. Point number 6. Fear of male indifference. Why do you think she fights so hard for your reaction? Why do her words grow sharper when you pull back? Her tone colder when you stay calm? It is not hate. It is fear of vanishing from your focus. Picture yourself at the edge of your bed. Early morning light leaking through blinds. Your phone is silent. She expected you to reply last night. You didn't. Now she is calling. Her voice softer, her texts longer. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He spoke to men shaping their inner world while ruling an outer one. You do the same when you hold your center and refuse to be dragged outward. In every age, indifference holds a strange power. Not cruelty, not neglect, simply the refusal to be moved by games. When she feels your absence, she begins to confront her own reflection instead of testing yours. This power only works when it is genuine. It is born from purpose, not punishment. You live your mission and let silence work. You build gravity instead of noise. Practice that now. Step back when pulled. Hold your energy for what matters. Train your distance. Ask yourself, is your withdrawal a tactic or a truth you live with? Stay with this. The next section will expose the trap of her own ego and how seeing it clearly frees you from chasing or proving anything at all. Point number 7. The trap of her own ego. Why do you keep believing her reactions are about you? Why do you think every flare of anger, every sudden silence is a verdict on your worth? Most of the time, it is her own ego fighting itself. Picture yourself at a gas station late at night. Neon buzzing. You just walked away from an argument. She is blowing up your phone, cycling from rage to apology, trying to pull you back into a scene that feeds her control. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." He addressed men facing swords in exile. But the truth applies to you standing under cold lights with your phone in your hand. Her ego builds traps because it wants a reaction. It wants proof it still matters. If you take the bait, you hand her power. If you stay steady, the trap collapses on itself. You cannot fix her ego. You cannot out-argue it. You can only step outside it. Watch the cycle instead of joining it. Act only when you choose, never when summoned. Your freedom is built in that space. It shows her you are not an accessory to her moods. It shows you your own strength without noise. Train your detachment. Ask yourself, when the hook comes next time, will you grab it or watch it drift by? Keep moving forward. The next section will reveal how to turn weakness itself into leverage, using discipline instead of words to hold the upper hand. Point number 8. Turning weakness into leverage. Why do you hide from the weak spots you see in her and in yourself? Why do you pretend they are not there instead of using them to sharpen your edge? Weakness ignored becomes a weapon against you. Picture yourself in a quiet gym after hours. Lights low. You see her name flash across your phone again. Apology mixed with blame. You already know the pattern. You already know the timing. And you also know exactly where you once folded. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." He spoke to soldiers and governors, yet the same law applies to the battlefield you face today. What looks like a block can become leverage. What once hooked you can become your signal to act differently. Ancient men studied the soft spots of their rivals not to humiliate but to plan. You must do the same with yourself and with her. Notice the patterns. Map the triggers. Decide in advance how you will respond. When you hold your center where you once collapsed, the entire dynamic shifts. Her test becomes your cue to stand still. Her silence becomes your time to build. Her demand becomes your signal to choose, not obey. Train your reversal. Ask yourself, where have you been predictable, and how can you turn that into strength? Stay with this. The next section will reveal mastery beyond manipulation, and why real control comes from clarity and distance rather than tactics or tricks. Point number 9. Mastery beyond manipulation. Why do you still believe control means pulling strings? Why do you think mastery lives in tactics, tricks, or endless counter moves? Every time you scheme, you shrink. Every time you anchor yourself, you grow. Picture yourself walking alone at dawn. Cold air, no phone, no noise. She sent her last message hours ago and you did not answer. You feel your own weight return to your body. You are not chasing or hiding. You are just moving. Epictetus wrote, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." He meant it for men who were slaves and kings alike. That freedom is not found in manipulation. It is found in the refusal to be owned by impulse or by someone else's games. Ancient men built power not by playing angles but by mastering their own posture. Today the same stands. When you stop plotting reactions, you start owning reality. She senses the shift. Your silence becomes neutral, not strategic. Your actions become rare and final, not defensive. This is mastery beyond manipulation. It is steadiness when provoked. It is clarity when tested. It is moving without explaining. Train your autonomy. Ask yourself, if every tactic was stripped away, would your presence still hold? Stay with this. The next section will show walking away as final power. The moment when your exit speaks louder than any argument or performance ever could. Point number 10. Walking away as final power. Why do you stay long after you know it is done? Why do you argue, explain, or hope she will finally understand? Every minute you stay past the line you set, you lose weight. Picture yourself standing at the doorway of your apartment. Keys in your hand. She is behind you crying, accusing, or bargaining. Your phone is buzzing with messages. You feel the pull to turn back, but you also feel the clean cut of freedom waiting outside. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it." He gave this order to himself while ruling an empire. You can give it to yourself now with no one watching. In every age, the strongest act is to walk away when the standard is broken. No threats, no speeches, just a clear exit that shows you value yourself more than her approval. Walking away is not punishment. It is self-respect. It is the moment where your words end and your actions speak. It breaks the cycle of bargaining, testing, and reaction. It resets the field without noise. When you do it once, you feel the shift. When you do it consistently, you never have to raise your voice again. Your absence becomes your boundary. Your exit becomes your leverage. Train your exit. Ask yourself, if this moment came tonight, would you step through the door or stay trapped in the same loop? Stay with this. What comes after this series will show you how to rebuild in silence, create a mission bigger than any relationship, and carry that weight without apology. You've just walked through some of the hardest truths most men never get to hear. Every chapter of this video has been about seeing clearly, holding your ground, and choosing presence over reaction. That's the real shift. It's not about tactics. It's about becoming the man who no longer needs them. I appreciate you for sticking with me through this. This channel exists because of men like you who want to grow sharper and steadier. Your time matters, and I'm honored you spent it here. If today's message hit you, consider subscribing and liking the video. so you don't miss what's next. It's the simplest way to stay connected to a community of men walking the same path. And if you've had experiences or lessons of your own, drop them in the comments. I read them, and they often shape future videos. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.